what would you say, has been, you've mentioned your mom, God being a critical factor, but would you say you're walking in your purpose at the moment? Would you say you're following your purpose?
I am. I will not choose anything apart from what I'm doing. Like, I won't trade it for anything in this world. It's not just what people see me do, like work or something, but it brings me so much fulfillment, knowing the fact that I'm working in what God has called me to. It's just beautiful. No, like, you don't stress out too much. Apart from the hard work, you don't stress out. There's a lot of hard work, sometimes it gets you tired. But the comfort of knowing that God wants you to do this and you did it and you saw like the results, it's just amazing and beautiful. Not only that, but the impact it makes and the blessing it brings into lives and the smiles it brings to people, the healing, the deliverance, and all the amazing thing that God promises that if you do this, I'm going to do, and He does it. It's just, there's no other place I'd rather be. There's no other thing I would do than this.
I love that. Mettle, thank you so much for being on Inspire.
Thank you for having me.
You've had a pretty amazing career in gospel music so far. By far, some people may argue about it, but you definitely would be in most people's top 10, possibly top 5. How does that make you feel?
Grateful, I would say, grateful. And because it's been grace, basically. That's what it's been. So I can't take any glory for myself other than what God has done through me and in my life, basically.
See, that's I feel like you're giving me the politician.
No. So when you
there's
ask other
work.
details,
there's work. Obviously.
No, but definitely. The reason we say that is because if grace had not made it possible, the strength, the life, the energy, the ideas, all those things are inspired by God, So the rest comes in, obviously, the hard work, the strategies, all those things. But like I said, they are all inspired for you to know what to do, what steps to take, what to write, what not to write, what to release, what not to release, where to go, where not to go, all comes into play, So even though normally men see the hard work and the ideas and all those things, they are inspired, if that makes sense, yeah.
Okay, so I want to take it back. Let's take it back to, say, a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old Joe or Joey, or what do they call you at home?
Pajo.
Pajo. So, from a young age, did you see music ministry as part of your life, or you had a total different career plan as a young kid? And most of us change what we want to be month by month or year by year.
I think when I was really young, I wanted to be an architect.
Okay.
So I literally started learning it. I did draftsmanship for a couple of years, hoping to go to uni and further it and do architecture. So I worked with the draftsmanship for a couple of years before going back to school again and changing my course and all that to do marketing. And then, so I wanted to initially be an architect. It didn't work.
What was it about architecture that drew you, that you liked initially?
I think I like buildings. I like construction. I like when I see beautiful buildings and how they are structured and drawn and all those things. I really love them. So it was something I really wanted to venture into, which I would say I got to experience it a little bit because I did design a few buildings before I stopped using it.
Were they ever built?
Yeah, I had a few buildings. Nice. So sometimes I'm like, yeah, I did this one.
Nice.
But there were not that many. So life happened, and so I had to go back and find something to do that would bring sort of like resource to both me and the family. So I had to drop it and just move on. Else, yeah.
So how long did you work into marketing before you decided to do your music ministry full time?
So whilst I was actually studying marketing, I was still doing music. So I had a very funny schooling. Whilst I was in uni, I was still doing music full time. I don't know how I was doing. I had to do both. I couldn't do one and leave the other. I remember sometimes I probably may have an event in Kumasi or something, park the car at the airport, get there, move the car straight to lectures. And I'm looking at the lecturer like this and I'm like, I can't see Jack.
You're tired.
So how I was able to finish, I was able to even write the papers and all that. It took grace. At the point I went to my HOD and said, you know what, I want to defer. She said, you're not
Stick with
deferring.
it.
Yeah, and they were more or less like there for me as a family rather than me just being a student. So they were like, you know what, if we give you this permission to go, you will never be able to come back. And one thing she said, I'll never forget, she said, you're not going to get smaller, you're going to get bigger.
Because she knew you were already doing your music.
So whatever you think that is probably getting you busy that you want to defer and come back later, is going to get worse. So try hard and finish now. I was sharing with someone there was this young guy who the dad came to me and said, my son says he wants to do full-time music. So after SS, he's done. He's not going back to school.
SS, oh,
blah, 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 And the parents were trying very hard to convince him. So the parents spoke to me. I had a conversation with them. I was like, you need it. I mean, it'll get to a point, let's say you are sitting at a place like this, being able to speak about stuff like that, and you will have nothing to talk about. In addition to that, when you get to a higher point in your ministry and in your career, you need to have that level of intellect to be able to understand certain things. Mm-hmm. If you've dropped all behind, what would you do? So the education was very important to me. That was why. By then, I was actually already playing with soul winners when I went to uni. So I went to uni very late. And so most of the people, not all, but most of the people in my class were people who, some of them had come from SS or they just maybe finished 2 years ago.
If you say very late, how late was it for you?
I was in uni, I think I went to uni like 2013 or 11? 2011, 2012. That was when I went to uni. Meanwhile, I was supposed to have gone to uni somewhere in 2003, 2004. I was supposed to go 2004, I went to 2011.
Okay, so you really took, but you took time then and you went to uni knowing that you're going there.
So what happened was because of how my education, I had a messed up education. That's how come. So when I finished junior high, I went to a technical institution. That's when I studied the draftsmanship for about 3 years. Yes, and I didn't finish. I had to drop out for a while. I went back to school again. I still couldn't finish. I had to drop out again the second time. And so when that happened, I had to now go and work for a while because the reason I kept dropping out was because of the financial commitment.
Okay.
And I remember for the first school, I was almost just a year to graduate when I had to drop out, So after working for a while, when I decided to go back to uni, because I did a technical program, I couldn't apply with that one.
So you had to study again.
So I had to do remedial again and write the courses for the remedial. And then I got to apply to the university. So it took me a while.
But do you think that by taking longer time to get to university, when you went there, you were more focused? Because you're older than your classmates, you're wiser, than them. And Chale, you also know at that time what it's taken for you.
For me to get
there. So is your focus, at that point different, like Chale?
I think what happens to you is it's good and bad. It's good and bad because it feels like you've tasted a bit of the world.
And you want to be in the world more.
Yeah, so it's like, it makes the education difficult sometimes. Because it's like, after all, because you see, even though I needed the ideas, the intellect and all those things, after I finished, I still didn't get to work with it or anything. I just applied the knowledge I've acquired there to do what I'm doing now.
Which I love. You worked in marketing for how long?
So I did marketing. I think I finished somewhere. I've forgotten. I actually have forgotten. I think 2006, 16. Sorry. No, it was.
2016 is only 4 years away.
No,
ago.
It was longer than that. I can't remember.
You see, the life is too
I
much.
know,
too many
because
things.
you see, my mind is everywhere at the same time. Like, whilst you're in school, you were
touring,
they had like some studio sessions, some rehearsal session. And sometimes when there was long vacations, then I get to travel quickly, go do some tours. And so it was a lot.
And initially, were you doing your own music, or at the time you were still backing up? Because I know you started off mostly backing.
Oh no, then Oh, when I went to school, I was already with Soul Winners. I was already the lead singer for Soul Winners. So I was already in the. So I actually stepped out of Soul Winners after school.
Okay, to go
That was,
solo.
yes, because then whilst in school, it was being a problem for them. So that was what, helped push me out, because if I can't be available, then they needed to replace me.
Gotcha.
And then, so it was juggling all of it at the same time. And
So you studied marketing and you
yes,
worked in marketing.
I
or you
used the
just
marketing
studied
to
it?
work for myself.
That's what I was coming
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Because most of the time, the music industry, as we know it here, there's some good managers, but look, even this is whether secular music or gospel music, it's very hard.
It is.
So if you're not able to know the business of music, if you're not able to market yourself, then essentially it's difficult. But with your would you say your marketing background has been integral to your branding and your success?
Yeah, yeah.
In a certain degree.
It's
Yes.
added up. It really has also helped. So, I mean, sometimes, like I said from the beginning, the fact that some of the things are inspired, when it does happen and you don't know how to apply them, it becomes a problem. So I have this idea of what should I do? But out of the marketing knowledge or background, I know how to apply them. What I feel in my heart and in my spirit, I know how to put this here. Okay, because of what is happening, hold on with this for a while. Don't let it go yet. Do this, do that. Okay, this doesn't look too presentable. Make it that way, and on and on. From inlays to sound output to markets to put the music, systems that are working now and the ones that not long from now will not really work. I got to, because I knew a while back that, what, CDs might not work in.
Yes, cassettes are gone.
Yes.
CDs are gone. Digital media is where we're at. And it looks like we'll be for a while.
So I actually got on those platforms a long time ago.
Before some of your peers.
Yeah, and I remember that, people used to tell me I was wasting money, blah, blah, because I was paying and I wasn't really selling that time. And, because some of the stores you have to pay to keep the music there.
For them to sell your CDs.
TuneCore would charge you every year. So I was paying every year, but the proceeds that were coming were not that much. But by the time, by God's grace, things started working, they could find the products there. They could find the songs there.
I think this is, at least for Ghana, for, the Africa, you are one of those artists that if somebody was in another country and needed to get to your music, gospel music from Ghana, it was easy.
Yeah.
Whereas there were some other hits that if you didn't have CDs,
you won't get them.
You couldn't, cassettes was a long time ago, you couldn't get them.
True.
So marketing and having that knowledge
has helped. Has really helped, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go for a break. You're watching Inspire, and I'm speaking with award-winning gospel musician, Joe Mettle. We have more coming up. Don't go anywhere. Hi, and welcome back to Inspire. I'm speaking with gospel singer, Joe Mettle. I've got a sense about, your musical journey, from marketing or architecture being the goal, to studying marketing, to marketing, knowing the knowledge to market yourself. And there's no secret. I definitely think in terms of Ghana gospel and African gospel, you've definitely made your mark, and the world really is your oyster. Now, for many of us as Christians, we don't look at gospel musicians the same way we look at secular musicians. A gospel artist, if they cough the wrong way, we can jump on you. A secular artist can do all sorts of things. And it doesn't mean secular artists are not Christians, but obviously, they're not following that path. Or a secular musician can release a gospel song, and because they're still deemed secular, they can get away with, you name it, some pretty hardcore stuff. Do you feel that because of your music ministry, your brand, what you represent, that you have to always appear perfect? Can you breathe? Or are you so worried about what people may say? Oh my God, Joe Mettle did that. Oh, Joe Mettle. And let's be honest, that happens. Do you feel like you're in a box?
Not really. I think for me, because it's more of I'm first a Christian before I'm a gospel artist. So if there's anything I'm trying to do is to be a Christ-like person rather than try to prove myself as because of my brand or who I am in terms of the public eye, trying to be a certain way. So if I'm doing something and I feel like in my Christian faith, that's not a wrong thing, I don't really mind. So because what normally happens is if you don't take care, you might feel you feel like you're suffocating, literally, because it's like every step you take, you are being monitored.
Yes.
So instead of trying to please or look perfect, live life. But at the same time, live life knowing that the life pleases Christ. It doesn't also make you perfect. There are times that you make mistakes. There are times you fall. There are times, you go the wrong way. It happens sometimes. I mean, and sometimes people feel like, oh, because you are so and so, you've never erred in your
Oh,
whole
please,
life.
me looking at you, I believe you have tried things in life, pa.
And try things like,
Pa?
I mean,
No, because
let me say it
my whole
this
thing
way.
is,
I grew up in a proper, like, proper Ga area. Do you understand?
okay, so all the
So the fact that
vices,
I know I'm a Christian, I'm a born again, blood wash, saved believer. But certain things, it doesn't mean I don't know. The fact that I don't do doesn't mean I don't know. Does that make sense?
did you have such a strong grounding, even at a young age, to say no? Or you had to kind of like mess up a little bit and be like, okay, no, now I won't do
I
things
think
now.
I think to be frank, everyone has what they had to deal with growing up. You know, I had mine, which I'm not saying, but I had mine. But it wasn't a
Why
call
wouldn't
or
you say? Let me just ask, why wouldn't you
I think
say?
at the right time, like I would say them, at the right time. Sometimes by trying to rather inspire in certain ways, sometimes it's taken the wrong way. But at the same time, I have mine, which I have a time where I believe that God wants me to say. I will say just to be able to show other people. But one thing I can say is I'm not perfect. That I will tell
No,
you.
nobody is. Nobody
And
is.
I definitely had the pressures. I had friends who smoke. I had friends who drank. I had friends who everything you can ever think of. And I had my own, like I told you, I dealt with. But throughout the time, it was a decision that I saw the ends of some of the people who came before me and how they ended up with the life that some of the friends said, if you don't do these things, you are not, you're not, how do
You're
they,
not cool.
you're
You're
not
not.
caring.
Yeah.
You're
Oh.
not,
Oh,
yeah,
Karen.
yeah. Like you're not a new school person.
Okay.
So you had to live that life. You know how sometimes people feel like when you're smoking and you have the swag and I'm like, boss, you're drinking and you're leaning, walking like this. What is the
There's
swag in
nothing
this?
cool about it.
And all those other things. But I saw the ends of some of those people. And I said, this is not the life I want. I can do better. My mom will always say, and my mom was a very instrumental part when it came to those kind of things. Because my mom will kill you. If you
If
went,
you mess up,
oh,
African mama.
she felt like I'm doing so much to see something good come out of your life, and this is how you decide to pay me back.
No, it's interesting because most of the times when people look at successful people, it's only the success.
They don't realize
They
that.
see the polishing. They see, oh wow, and they want to be like you. And they want to be like you now.
Yeah, not
But
the.
most people wouldn't survive a day, a week, a month if they had to walk in your shoes. What would you say, I mean, has been, you've mentioned your mom, God being a critical factor, but would you say you're walking in your purpose at the moment in your life? Would you say you're following your purpose?
I am. I will not choose anything apart from what I'm doing. Like, I won't trade it for anything in this world. It's not just what people see me do, like work or something, but it brings me so much fulfillment knowing the fact that I'm working in what God has called me to. It's just beautiful. No, like you don't stress out too much. I mean, apart from the hard work, you don't stress out. There's a lot of hard work. Sometimes it gets you tired. But the comfort of knowing that God wants you to do this and you did it and you saw like the results, it's just amazing and beautiful. Not only that, but the impact it makes and the blessing it brings into lives and the smiles it brings to people, the healing, the deliverance, and all the amazing thing that God promises that if you do this, I'm going to do, and he does it. It's just, there's no other place I'd rather be. There's no other thing I would do than this.
I love that. How do you deal with critique? And when critique comes, some of it is very productive, and then there's some which is just downright mean. And there's jealousy. How do you deal with even jealousy amongst either your peers in the music industry, in the gospel music industry? How do you deal with all of it?
Critique. Sometimes somebody can criticize you. You can decide to be upset or take something out of it. There are times that sometimes it's not always false. There are times that if it might be that probably it may not be true though, but there may have been something that they saw that made them say what they said. So I feel like as time goes on, you need to sort of like evaluate yourself and pick it in a different way. Some of the amazing things by God's grace I've been able to do, they actually came out of somebody either pushing me too hard or somebody coming after me or somebody, sometimes, they say so much. I'm like, is it true? Okay. Then what I pay back with is hard work. I go deeper into maybe, okay, it's not working. Look at it. It wasn't, the administration wasn't. So I'm like, okay, maybe I need more of the anointing of God. I go deeper.
Okay.
So the more you push me, the deeper I'll go to be able to draw from, deeper wells. That's me. And in addition to that, sometimes I remember before I started, my studio and everything, somebody sort of like, we're working with a company and the company was just stressing us out. They bring the things and they come late and it's like, where's the money? And these are people we work with. So we are thinking, and all that time they're doing that, they're delaying us and we needed to set up all those things. And one time whilst they were setting up, I went behind the building. I left all my people. They didn't see me. Knelt down. I told God, a year by this time, give me mine.
Your own studio.
Not too long after that, God just started opening some doors, some breakthroughs started coming, and then introduced me to other people and they started supporting. I started buying the stuff. And today I can say, to the glory of God, we have enough. I mean, when we want to do a production, we just have to enter the studio. But the idea God has given me, we just start working without the stress of, how are we going to afford this? We just get to do it. And it was part of somebody pushing me. And that also, so I believe that provocation is not always bad.
Oh, 100%.
But how you respond is what, creates that problem.
Do you feel like because of where you sit as a Christian, as a gospel singer, and as an African, that there's pressure? Because let's not forget that there's pressure that marry. I know they do it to women.
No, it's part of me. I mean, I've heard people say that to me like for years. But I still say to myself, if you marry the person, you are the one going to stay at home with the person. So out of respect, I always tell them when the time is, when I feel like it's time, I'll do it. And it will happen, definitely. But you will never do it because somebody said it. If somebody said it and you decide to, you did it for them before.
Like my friend says, when you feel, even get married, have baby. When you have the baby, you're the one holding the baby. And they're sleeping at night when your baby's crying.
When things are happening in your home, you will face it. So sometimes, I think that sometimes people don't, rather than saying that to you, sometimes they need to share with you or ask you, have a conversation to probably pick your mind on maybe, is there a reason? And I've had a few people ask me that and probably maybe sharing one or two things with them, they're like, oh, you really have but for most people, they come straight, maybe I win you dream, and a baby,
where you've grown, you should be married by now.
Because they'll definitely, but definitely you will. I'm definitely not going to be a Catholic priest, so I will.
No, and to be honest, I honestly feel like things like marriage, having children, don't ever let anybody pressure you.
Oh, no.
Because at the end of the day, you are going through that. Last, just as we're ending, advice to so many people have the gift of ministry, especially music ministry, and it's very hard to be successful.
Yeah.
You were with a group before, and then you decided to go solo. What would be the one or two things you say to anybody who wants to do gospel music in particular? it's you know, especially in Africa, some elsewhere you get signed to a record label, they'll give you $1 million advance. Go here, it don't work that way.
Yeah.
But what would you say to them that like the most integral thing in order for them to be on that journey for music, especially when it relates to ministry?
I would say, first of all, get grounded to the one that has the power to make people, which is God Himself. I mean, and also understand why you're in what you're in. Make your priorities right. Is this what God wants you to do? If that's what He wants you to do, stay in it. And if you do, make sure you're always connected. I use this analogy every time that the only guarantee to the constant flow of your resources is your connection to your source. It's the only thing that guarantees it. You know, that's one. Two, when things start happening, you have to now start working hard. So despite the godly part and all the other, you have to work hard.
Put in that work.
Hard. I mean, most of the time, people see the luxurious part. They're like, yeah, I want to.
See Instagram.
But nobody
you
sees the
chilling.
sleepless nights,
Yes.
the studio sessions, the promotion part, the thinking part, the waiting. Sometimes even the waiting, you've done the thing, you would have to wait on the Lord. And my thing is always that focus on the impact. Always focus on the impact. When you make the impact, every other thing will follow. It's like saying seeking the kingdom and its righteousness. The money, all that, they are the blessings of the Lord. They are not what you go after. The fame is not part of it. It's just the impact. Once the impact is made, everything else will follow.
Make the impact. Make the impact. I want to thank you so much for being with us today, and thanks for taking time.
Thank you for having me.
To come to Dominion TV. All right, so make the impact. That is from Joe Mettle. I hope you've enjoyed the show. My name is Ama.K, and I will catch you soon.